His name is Mr. Hobson, his face is made of sand. This little chant is all he says. Wow, psychedelic, man. Alright, hello there, thrill seekers. That was a little clip of a song called Wow, Psychedelic Man, and I recorded that circa 1990 on a little cassette recorder, and I played it for you on the video off of a boombox because I thought this is just the way it's supposed to sound. I can't redo it and make it sound any better than what it does. Not to say that I think it's great, but I think it's great. You know, but if you don't think it's great, that's fine with me. Okay, so I want to talk about something that came up today. Somebody commented on a video that I put up a long time ago called The Psychological Risks of Meditation. And let me just read you the comments. He says, claiming... This is from somebody called Johnny Samadhi, by the way, Jhanny Samadhi. Claiming that these realms are not actually places is openly spreading wrong view. And the realms he means are like the heaven and hell realms spoken of in Buddhist stuff. Quantum theory makes it very clear that there is no reason why these realms can't exist. For your own good, please keep your wrong view to yourself if you can't overcome it via opening your mind. So, I'm trying to overcome it by opening my mind. But I'd like to kind of talk about what my view of these things is, because I think Ziggy is convinced that somebody is outside because there's people working on the plumbing 2 doors down, and they're making noises, and he's convinced that they're attacking the house. Anyway, so you'll probably hear him barking some throughout the talk. Ziggy, it's just the plumbers. Ziggy, please, believe me. Okay, in Buddhism, there are a lot of descriptions and talks about various heavens and hells. And this is one of the things that actually made... Ziggy, hold on. This is one of the things that actually made me interested in Buddhism when I first started learning about it, because in Christianity, you've just got one heaven and one hell. And if you're good, you go to heaven, and if you're bad, you go to hell. And I found out that in Buddhism and also in Hinduism as well, there are multiple heavens and multiple hells. And none of them are permanent places. So in the sort of Christian version that I learned when I was a kid, Ziggy, come on, man. You die and you go to heaven forever, or you go to hell forever. In Buddhism, you might die and go to heaven, but you'll be there temporarily. This is all according to legend and stuff, that some of these heavens are places where people have lifespans in the hundreds of thousands or even millions of years. People is a kind of a broad term, but anyway, whatever lives there. And but even so, they have lifespans. Even if their lifespan is 100 million years, they still eventually die, and then they go right back into the... Sorry, knocked my glasses. They go back right into the realm of samsara again. They might be born as a human, they might be born in hell, they might be born somewhere else, but they're still on the cycle of rebirth. Hells is the same thing. If you go to hell after you die in the Buddhist version, you're only there temporarily, even though it might be a very long time, but you still eventually die in hell, and then you're back in the round of birth and death. So, do I believe these realms actually exist? What does the person say? What does Johnny Samadhi say? Yeah, he says, are these realms are not actually places, and saying that they're not actually places is spreading the wrong view. Well, here's what I think about that. And I don't think Johnny Samadhi is going to watch this video, but he might be surprised. My contention is I'm not even sure this is a real place. Now I should qualify that. I believe in the reality of this world. This is one of the things that Nishijima Roshi was very insistent upon, making sure, that this is part of our belief, is our belief that this world is real. Ziggy, come on, man. But on the other hand, I can use Ziggy as an example of this. On the other hand, our perceptions of what this world actually is are not to be trusted. For example, as I said earlier in the video, Ziggy appears to believe that somebody is attacking the house. And I know that nobody's attacking the house, but he apparently doesn't believe me. He keeps warning me that somebody's out there and I should be paying attention to it. And I do this thing with Ziggy sometimes. I'll actually go and look at whatever it is he's barking at and then come back and reassure him that I've checked it out and it's okay. And usually he believes me, which I think is interesting. It's part of the way we communicate. Let me show you Ziggy right now. Let me what he's doing. Here, let me see if we can get him on camera. There he is. He's up on the couch. And he's turned around now, but he's been looking out the window trying to warn me of these impending invaders that we've got in the house or coming to the house. But the point is that Ziggy is not perceiving reality correctly. He's got a dog's perception of reality, and there may be some ways in which his perception of reality is superior. He can certainly smell a lot of things that I can't smell, and he can hear a lot of things that I can't hear. And so, this is why people formed a bond with dogs, 100,000 whatever years ago, because they were useful in that realm. But he doesn't know what those sounds are of the car doors slamming and things like that. So I have a better perception of that than he does. So our perceptions of reality as human beings, we tend to take the view that our perceptions of reality are accurate. And we believe this because we've become very advanced in science, and a lot of our observations of reality have proven to be, I don't want to say necessarily correct, but at least in a utilitarian way, they're correct. We've been able to perceive the way electronic stuff works to the extent that this sort of communication that I'm having with you right now is possible, and that's very sophisticated, and that would seem to indicate that we have a very good perception of reality. And I think Buddhists would probably agree that human perception of reality is pretty good as far as it goes, but it's not ultimate. And that there are different levels of reality which might be perceivable by other sorts of beings. This is in a lot of the Buddhist literature. I'm pointing up to where the Dogen books are. You can't see them, but they're up there on the top shelf. So even Dogen says that. And Dogen talks about heaven realms and hell realms. So Johnny Samadhi is saying that I am spreading the wrong view, that these places are not real, and that, let's get him right, quantum theory makes it very clear that there is no reason why these realms can't exist. I don't know quantum theory. I know there's a lot of people out there who love to throw that around, and the idea of multiple dimensions and the multiple world hypothesis or something, that there might be different realities and dimensions coexisting right here with us. I think that's entirely possible. I think that may be one of the explanations for UFOs, for example, or ghosts or things that we encounter like that there might be multiple levels of reality coexisting that humans are generally unable to perceive, but that sometimes we can perceive them. And maybe there are ways in which things, who knows what they are, from those other realms can interact with us in a physical way. And this might be what, the whole UFO phenomenon is. I think it's entirely possible. So it's not that I don't believe these realms are real. It's that I know that a certain portion of my audience is not inclined to believe that. And I take my cues from Nishijima Roshi, who always would say that when Dogen talks about heavens and hells, he's actually talking about psychological states. Now, I accepted that in various ways over the course of my studying with Nishijima Roshi. At first, I was like, oh good, he's not a superstitious weirdo who believes that heaven and hell are real places. He just thinks they're just psychological states. But then I started seeing it differently as I continued in practice, and I thought, maybe another way of understanding that statement is to say that you can call these real places, or you can call them psychological states. It doesn't matter that much. They have a real impact on our lives. And so, as such, they are real. To tell the truth, I think it's entirely possible, I think I said this already, that there are other realms. And I relate this to dreams, okay? So last night, I had a weird dream, and this is a kind of dream that seems to come up on a regular basis with me. I'm in Tokyo in the dream. I'm in Tokyo. I'm in an unfamiliar place in Tokyo, and I'm just visiting. I don't live there anymore. And it's the last day of my visit, and I have to catch a taxi to the airport at, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever. And I'm trying to figure out whether I have time to go to Shinjuku, or no, Shibuya. That was where I wanted to go in the dream. I'm trying to figure out if I have time to go to Shibuya or not, and still make it for the taxi. And I'm trying to use my cell phone to figure that out, but the cell phone is being crappy to me, and it's not getting the signal, or it's not showing me, and I'm getting really, really frustrated by that. So at the time I woke up from the dream, I was so frustrated with my cell phone that I was actually hitting it, and I broke it into pieces. I actually broke it in half because I hit it so hard because I was so angry at the cell phone. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that during that dream, I was utterly convinced of the reality of I was in Tokyo, I was trying to get to Shibuya, and I was trying to figure out if I had enough time to get there. I was utterly convinced that was real. Completely convinced. Now, you'd think I've lived, you can go look up my biography to find out how long I've lived. But I've lived long enough, let's say. I don't know why I'm so reluctant to admit my age. I'm just old, okay? So I've lived long enough and had enough dreams that you'd think, if you're just kind of being objective of it, why would dreams still fool me? Why would I still get fooled night after night after night into believing these dreams are real? And only rarely do I catch myself during a dream and go, oh, this is a dream. Occasionally that happens, but it's rare. Why? I don't know. I'm not going to tell you because I don't know. I don't know why. But I think if I can be utterly convinced that this dream realm is real, then what makes me so sure that this realm I'm finding myself in right now, where I'm talking to you on this computerizer, is any more real? I don't know that. I know that it's different. And Dogen makes this point in his writings. He will say, he'll criticize somebody by saying, you haven't seen this even in a dream. So he understands that dreams and this waking reality are different levels. But he also says in his writings that there isn't a difference between the dream worlds we find ourselves in and the world we find ourselves in. So this is contradictory. Dogen contradicts himself all the time. But on one level, there is a difference because the dream world doesn't last very long, and you pop back into this one over and over and over again. So there is a difference between them, but as far as their level of reality in our experience of them, they're the same. They're the same. They're exactly the same. When I am dreaming, I am as convinced of the reality of what I'm experiencing in the dream as I am of the convinced of the reality of what I'm experiencing right now. So, are heaven and hell realms real? Yeah, I would say. And in some sense, they are psychological states, but in another sense, they aren't. I have often talked about the final time that I did LSD, and I was about 19 years old, I think, or 18 maybe, when I took it for the final time. And my experience of it being fully wide awake was hell. Was absolutely hell. This is why I've never taken this stuff again. I at the time I was interested in further exploring this realm, but having this visit to hell that lasted forever, in the experience of it, I'm not trying to give you hyperbole or anything like that. The experience of it was as if it was eternal. It was maybe my first experience of understanding that the present moment is eternal. But it was a confused experience brought on by a drug, which is why I think it's not very useful. The only possible use of that is to kind of knock you in the head and say, okay, there are other ways of experiencing reality, and maybe that's one use of it. But beyond that, the drug experience is not a good way. It's not a good way of understanding reality in total. So, okay, yeah, real places. I don't know if there's a place over there that's hell that I can be sent to, and so maybe that's wrong view. But I do know that psychologically is probably not experientially speaking, hells are real and heavens are real. And I can say that without having to claim that I've had a kind of, metaphysical experience. That's probably not the right word, but metaphysical real experience of actually going to heaven up in the clouds like that kid. There used to be this book that would show up, had a yellow cover, and it was everywhere for a few years ago, called Heaven is Real, and supposedly written by a kid who'd had a near-death experience and gone to heaven. And now he's going to tell everybody that heaven is real. Yeah, it probably was real. It probably was as real to him as any experience is to us, any waking experience. It was probably as real to him as any dreamed experience is when we're dreaming of it, which doesn't discount it. That's the thing, the weird turn of psychology that I've come to at this point in my life. I don't discount these things just because they're dreams. So there you go. In conclusion, hell is real. Just like the Lovin' Brothers said on their famous album, whose cover I will show you right now. Pretty neat. The Byrds did a song from this album on their Sweetheart of the Rodeo record. Anyway, so there you go. Heaven is real and hell is real. So Johnny Samadhi can rest easy that I'm not spreading the wrong view. So if you want me to continue spreading the view, right or wrong, or continue helping me, you want to help me continue this channel, go to the URL that you're seeing on the screen below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. That's where you can make a donation to me, and your donations go to help me keep paying the bills and keep living my life. So I appreciate that. But as always, I don't require it. You don't have to support me if you don't want to support me. We'll see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Bye. Hey Ziggy, have you chilled out a little bit? I know you're still worried about those noises out there, but you chilled out a little bit, didn't you? Maybe you believe me now that it's okay. All right, I'm going to go sit next to you and edit the video. So I'm going to turn it off right now. All right, see you later, Ziggs.